Hello guys and girls, this is Kentucky. Today let's take a closer look on the heavily nerfed Guardian Druid. Why do I say this? Because most of its defensive abilities have been heavily nerfed, and let's start take a look on each and every abilities that has been changed from Legion to BFA. So, Barkskin, the duration have been nerfed by like 2.5 seconds. It's not that big of a nerf, but it's a nerf. Moving on, dash has also been nerfed by 10% movement speed and by 5-second duration, so it's just, of course, a nerf again. Frenzied Regen received a rework, which is also a nerf, because now it regenerates a flat amount of HP over 3 seconds, and it is now on a much larger, longer cooldown. So basically, it's just flat out weaker than in Legion. We received Hibernate, which is the only new spell for the Guardian, which is a sleep for 40 seconds that works on beasts and dragon skin. It's just an incapacitate. Of course, item first duration has been decreased by like 2.7 seconds or so. You can also apply it every 0.5 seconds, so basically you can have a 100% uptime on your active mitigation spell. The only thing that has been buffed, the Mangle, because it now generates additional rage. It now generates 8 rage, which is great change. So it makes, of course, the Guardian Druid much more fluid to play, just as the Feral one. Moving on, here we received 0 changes. Stampeding Roar have been buffed by 5 yards, which is great. Also, the same as at Feral or Balance or at any other Druid spec that has Stampeding Roar. Survival Instinct have been heavily nerfed because it is now only a 50% damage reduction instead of the 66% damage reduction, so it's minus 16%, which is huge cut. Of course, Gore have been nerfed again, because from WoW to Legion it has been nerfed, and from Legion to BFE it also nerfed, so it's now only a 15% chance for your Trash, Swipe, Move, and Maul to reset the cooldown on Mangle, and to cause it to generate additional rage. So it's a shame. And everything else is the same except your forms, because Cat form is now increases your auto attack damage, which is great because you can just, if you're not tanking in your raid currently, so the other tank just took the boss and you will have to do additional damage to push a damage check, and you don't have to tank anything, then you should switch to Cat form, of course with Feral Affinity, and just deal a shit ton of damage. And when you have to taunt back, then switch back to the bear form, and until then just do your normal tanking rotation with your bear form. Which has been also nerfed. It increases your armor by slightly more, but now it grants much less stamina than before. It's a 10% cut from the Legion version, so it's really important. Let's take a look on the talent section. In the first tier we've got Brambles, Blood Frenzy, and Bristling Fur. Bristling Fur generates rage based on damage taken for the next 8 seconds. It's just on a too long cooldown to be useful. I think I do not suggest taking it. Blood Frenzy should be taken if you use Thresh extensively, because Thresh also generates 2 rage each time it deals damage, so it's just a massive amount of additional rage generation. It's great. And Brambles is a total passive which you should take almost all the time except when heavy AoE with Thresh, because it will grant you an absorption shield that will also reflect incoming damage to the targets, and while Barkskin is active, it also deals additional nature damage, which is great. So it just passively makes you absorb a lot of damage. Level 30 row is Tiger Dash, Intimidating Roar, Wild Charge. Intimidating Roar is just like useless. It's just replaces your Incapacitating Roar. The enemies won't flee, it will just cover in Fury in place. It's just, don't really think it's useful. Wild Charge should be the go-to options, because in bear form you get Charge, and it is a very good spell, and it's a very good ability for bears. Of course, Tiger Dash is great because you can cover great distances, but in terms of bear form, I suggest taking Wild Charge. Level 45 row Balance, Feral, and Restoration Affinity. You should use Restoration Affinity most of the times when you need the extended heal, or when your raid needs some off heals in terms of, for example, Wild Growth, which is a great AoE additional heal to your toolkit. But in terms of DPS, you should choose Feral Affinity, because with that and the new cat form, which increases your auto attack damage, it deals a much more damage. And if you need a damage oriented build, then you should choose Feral Affinity, of course. Level 60 row is Mighty Bash, Mass Entanglement, and Typhoon. This is the single target stun, AoE root, and a knockback. Choose whichever you like, it depends on the situation. 75 row is Soul of the Forest, Galactic Guardian, and Incarnation Guardian Forsock. Soul of the Forest is not a bad skill, it makes your Mangle generate more rage and deals more damage. It's not bad, but I think its main problem is that it is in the same row as the Incarnation Guardian Forsock. Because if they were in different rows, then Soul of the Forest could be a great pair with Incarnation, because with Incarnation it is an improved bear form that reduces the cooldown on all melee damaging abilities and growl, and it causes Mangle to hit up to 3 targets and increases your armor, and it lasts for 30 seconds. If you could pair up these two, increased regeneration damage to Mangle and of course AoE Mangle, it would be an awesome pair. But right now you should choose Incarnation Guardian Forsock most of the time, because if you need a defensive cooldown, then there it is. If you need an offensive cooldown, then there it is. And Galactic Guardian is also not bad, because all of your damaging abilities have 5% chance to trigger a free and automatic Moonfire on that target, so you just don't really have to push Moonfire that often. But I don't think it really matters. Which really matters is that your next Moonfire that you will cast will generate rage and deal additional direct damage to the target. It's almost damage-wise and regeneration-wise almost the same as Soul of the Forest, but since Incarnation is flat out better than the both other options, then I suggest taking Incarnation at all times. Level 90 row is Earth Warden, Survival of the Fittest, and Guardian of Elune. Survival of the Fittest should be taken in any scenario where you need more frequent access to your defensive cooldown, such as Barkskin and Survival Instincts, because it reduces their cooldowns, which is great. Guardian of Elune should be chosen for most single target situations, because Mangle increases the duration of your next Iron Fur or the healing of your next Frenzied Regen by 20%, so it's just a great tool. It is passive, you can use it almost all the time, mainly if you do single target damage. However, Earth Warden is also a great tool, because Trash grants you a stack of Earth Warden, which reduces the damage of your next the next auto attack that you take by 30%, and it can have up to 3 charges. Of course, only the direct damage from Trash gives you a charge of Earth Warden. This is very important because of two things. One, that with haste the cooldown on Trash has been reduced, and the more haste you have, the more frequent Earth Warden damage reductions you can have. And of course, if you use Trash extensively, for example with Blood Fury, it will also generate more rage, and it will also grant you a damage mitigation. So Earth Warden has potential to be better than Guardian of Elune. Moving on to the last section, Random Tier, Lunar Beam and Pulverize. Random Tier is just a stacking damage increase on targets that Thresh is on. So you can get with three stacks of Thresh, you deal 6% more damage to the target. So it's just a great option along with Earthwarden and Blood Frenzy. So you should use these three talents together and use Thresh to just refresh this damage. And then basically this is a damage oriented build. Lunar Beam is currently too weak to be considered both damage wise or healing wise because it is on a 1.3 minute cooldown, it summons a Lunar Beam at your location, it deals a little bit of arcane damage and heals you for a like 30% of your health, which is not as good as Transit Regen, but almost. It heals over 8 seconds, which is a pretty long duration, and overall I don't think it deals as big of a damage as Random Tier or has as good defensive potential as Pulverize, because Pulverize consumes 2 stacks of your trash on the target to deal a amount of physical damage and reduces all damage you take by 9% for 20 seconds, which is a great mitigation. So basically you just take 9% reduced damage all the times with Pulverize. Of course, it could be further enhanced with Earthwarden, because Earthwarden, you gain Earthwarden when you apply Trash, and then you remove Trash with Pulverize, so you get the stack before removing the Trash stacks with Pulverize. So it's also good to use with that. But of course, with Guardian of Elune, Pulverize is also very good. So let's take a look at how it works. Reset. Charge it there. Oops. Slight graphical bug. Apply Trash, Moonfire, Mangle on cooldown. If you don't have anything to push, then push Swipe. Mangle on cooldown, Iron Fur, Pulverize, Swipe, Trash, Mangle, Frenzied Regen if needed, Survival Instincts if needed, Trash on cooldown again, Maul if you need more damage, Mangle again, Trash again, Swipe, Refresh Moonfire, you can Maul again, you can Trash again, you can Pulverize again, you could refresh your Iron Fur again, Mangle, Trash, Swipe, Mangle, Maul, Swipe, Trash, again Pulverize, you can again heal yourself, refresh your Moonfire, and so on and so on and so on. It is really fluid to play, I really like how it plays, however it doesn't seem as good as it was before in the previous expansion. Let's take a look at the numbers. Of course your melee is the highest hitting ability, just as in Cat, in the Pharaoh Druid. Mangle Moonfire is like almost the same. Mangle is of course hit way harder than the other spells, but I couldn't cast it so often because of the current haste levels. Trash, Pulverize, Maul and Swipe, roughly the same. Pulverize is a great damage. We achieved 100% uptime while always casting Pulverize when needed. You should always leave Trash to dot on the target if you have a lot of remaining time on Pulverize. So you just stack up to 3 times, and you can only cast Pulverize when it's needed, for example at 3 seconds of its duration. You should use your rage to Iron Fur or Maul if you want defense or damage. It's your decision. And basically that is how the Bear Druid plays. I think it's weaker than in Legion, but still playable. So thanks for watching guys, and see you in the Restoration Druid video, which is up next. Bye bye!